Yes, this exciting interview of Respark Your Life is called From Brilliant Fitness Coach to Brilliant Business Coach. And I know this gentleman very well, Nikki Ballou. He runs the eCircle Academy and he has the Thought Leaders Revolution podcast. And both of those adventures have been extremely successful, both for him and for his clients around the world. I know he's successful currently as a business coach because I know his clients and I know their stories and I know how well he's doing for them. But mostly, I know how successful he used to be as a fitness coach because I was his client and he trained me and I succeeded at age 62 to do what has been called probably the world's toughest race. It's called Polar Race. It is a 350-mile, month-long foot race to the North Pole, hauling a 100-pound sled at minus 40 degrees, dodging polar bears. And he trained me for 2 years, and I did it at 62. So I love know that I knew him in the past when he trained me as a fitness coach, and I love that I know him now in his new transformation and his new metamorphosis as a business coach. And here he is. Nikki, are you on the line?
Raymond, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you've been on my podcast. I've been on your podcast. We love each other. We're dear friends. We respect each other, admire each other. And this is yet another step in our relationship of helping our mutual clients.
It
So,
truly is. Thank you so much again for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And I'm so glad that you've got your own podcast, Raymond. Kudos, man. That's awesome.
and how come I have my own podcast? Who's the one who taught me?
Well, it was me. I can't lie. That's great.
Yes, we've helped each other a lot this lifetime. It's a
We
real
sure have.
joy. So, I want to go back to your previous life and tell me, what was it that made you such a great fitness coach? There's lots of fitness coaches. Why were you so good?
Well, a few things. Number one is I had a lot of passion for fitness, and I still do. I wanted to be healthy myself, and I loved spreading the gospel of health around the world. But I also was very fortunate in that I got to learn from some of the fittest people on the planet. Two of the people who were my mentors and later on my business partners were Canadian Olympic gold medalist Mark Mccoy, who you know very well, and Donovan Bailey. And these folks, like they especially Mark, the epitome of the super fit, super healthy human being on the planet. And Mark really went out of his way to teach me the methodologies that allowed him to achieve gold medal Olympic and world champion status. And those were so different than anything regular fitness trainers did. It was something that was designed to be super effective because these guys, they didn't have to just be fit. They actually had to be good at their sport. So they had to get the fitness part out of the way so they could spend most of their time being good at their sport. So when Mark taught me these spectacular methodologies, at the time, nobody on the planet, at least among the civilian population, was teaching these methodologies. So when I got out there with Mark and I started teaching these methodologies, it was a revolution to many people. I remember when I came to you and I said to you, Raymond, I can help you do a 2-hour workout in just 23 minutes. You were, to say the least, a little bit skeptical that that was possible. You said, no, Nikki, that's BS. That's just marketing spin. And I said, look, let me prove it to you. And the first time we worked out, at minute 15, you were like, okay, I'm done. This is it. It's enough. Nikki, I got to go. I said, come on, Raymond, we're not even done. He says, no, I'm done. I believe you now. This is a 23-minute workout. And I'm like, okay, so this is good. I managed to convince the great Raymond Aaron that this wasn't just marketing spin. This was a real thing with a lot of substance. I wasn't just selling the sizzle. I was selling that grade A steak. And you bit into the steak and you said, this is grade A steak. And that was what made it quite a wonderful thing for me to be able to do what I did so effectively.
Dear listener, I want you to know that Nikki was being kind to me. I didn't last anywhere near 15 minutes on that crazy workout. It took me many months before I could do the 23 minutes. It's a rugged workout, but it got me ready to do the most rugged race in the world. So basically, what you're saying is you had the training like everyone does, you had the certification like everyone does, but you had a great coach, not
I
just a
had a
good
great
coach,
coach.
a
Not
great.
even a great coach. I'll go one step further. I had the very best on the planet. And that was something Mark McCoy taught me. If you remember the story that he tells when he does his talks of how he won his Olympic gold medal, and then he decided that he was going to retire at one point because he was Mr. Fourth Place, coming in fourth in all the big races. And then one fella out of the UK, Colin Jackson, said, "Come on back, come work out with me. Come train with me. We're going to be great together." And then when he came, his coach said, "Hey, Colin, are you sure you want me to work with Mark?" And he said, "Yeah, Malcolm. Why?" He says, "Because I know what's wrong with him, and I can fix it. And if I do, he might beat you. He might become world champion." And then Colin said, "Nah, it's cool, man. Like, he's not going to beat me. He's an old man, number one. And number two is this makes us both better. We push each other harder." And Malcolm figured out what was wrong with Mark's technique, which was that when he was running, instead of his feet being straight, one of them was crooked. So he lost about an inch per step. And at first, Mark goes, "An inch? You cost me an inch." He goes, "You take 39 of those steps in a race. That's 39 inches." And that was the difference between first place and fourth place in an Olympic race. And Mark realized that's the power of having the best coach in the world rather than just a great coach. Mark had many great coaches, top level coaches, amazing coaches, but the distinction, the best in the world, was what he taught me. And I've strove since then to be the very best that I did. I felt I was the best CEO coach in the world. I worked with CEOs who own their own companies, folks like you, and I was the best at helping those people win. And that's what I strove to do. And inside of what I do right now in the world of thought leadership and teaching people about the power of podcasting, I strive to be the very best in the world at what I do. That distinction allows people to not just have a fantastic experience, but to have the very best experience possible.
So, am I hearing that when you did your metamorphosis from fitness coach to business coach, that you used the same technique of interviewing and learning from and being coached by the very best entrepreneurs that you could get through to?
Well, the first person I interviewed was Raymond Aaron. I mean, Mr. How to, honestly, I consider you the very best in the world when it comes to selling a program from stage. There is none better on the planet. Nobody else has the techniques. Nobody else has the track record that you have. So for myself, I thought, be really cool. You are a thought leader. You are a thought leader's thought leader. And when it comes to selling from stage, you're the very best there is. We were nobody, so thank you for being so gracious to help me out at that time by being the very first person on the show. But you got to teach our listeners that, hey, the best in the world is now teaching you how to be able to speak from stage. And you also are the very best in the world when it comes to helping people who've never written a book get a book out in as little as 10 weeks. And you coached me on how to get my first book out, right? The very first book I wrote, Finish Line Thinking, was a Raymond Aaron inspired and coached book. And so that got me out there. And after we had you come on the show, we said, okay, let's look for the very best. We had a man named Tony Guerreri on. He's the very best in Canada at creating cultures that are empowering for people and help companies perform high and grow. He was Canada's version of Tony Hsieh from Zappos, the delivering happiness guy. Then we had your friend Jack Canfield on. We had your friend Joe Vitale on. We had your friend Mark Victor Hansen on. We had your friend John Assaraf on. We had your friend Marie Diamond on. There's a lot of your friends you sent our way, for which I'm extremely grateful. But all of these people were like top teachers from things like The Secret and people who'd been the very best at what they did. Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield, the very best in terms of writing and selling nonfiction books. Joe Vitale, the very best at creating money through internet marketing. The list just goes on and on and on and on. And that's what I've always striven to do, is to go out and meet these people who happen to be the best. And right now I'm 200 and almost 80, 90 interviews in.
Wow.
We haven't released all of them yet, but that's where we're at. So I interviewed the man who invented the tactical folding knife for the Navy SEALs. Prior to 1983, the U.S. Special Forces used only fixed blade knives, right? So it's a lot better in certain situations when you're fighting a war and you need to be stealthy, to have a smaller knife, a folding type knife, but still one that could perform very well under those conditions. Well, this man invented that for the Navy SEALs. He's the guy who created this. And this knife has now sold all over the world. It's called the Emerson folding knife. His name is Ernest Emerson. He's got his own podcast as well. He has a $25 million a year business, making these knives and selling them. He invented it, and he was a great person to have on the show and to hear from him, and the man who invented the tactical folding knife. Then I brought another fellow on the show. This fellow has the world's largest community of men. He has a podcast for men. His name is Ryan Mickler. Ryan helps men. He has had over 50 million people listen to his podcast. He's the best in the world at podcasting and helping men with these problems. And I'll tell you, Raymond, it's really cool. This is my secret. Okay, don't tell anybody except your audience, but I get free coaching from the smartest thought leaders in the world. I get them on my show. I don't have to pay them. They actually, some of them are like so grateful they do things for me for coming on the show, and they give me free coaching. How cool is that? I've saved myself millions of dollars just from having the smartest people in the world do this for me.
So when you were a fitness coach, you had one dazzlingly great coach for yourself. And now as a business coach, you've had so far 290 great coaches. That is a brilliant idea. That is
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That is a comment that you should have a coach, and it's also a comment that you should have a podcast.
I would wholeheartedly agree. And I also still have other coaches that I work with more regularly. Like you and I work together regularly. We provide each other some mentoring and coaching in various areas. I've got a fellow that actually had a coaching call with half an hour before I came to speak to you. I have a weekly call with him. His name is Mark. Mark used to be the director of coaching and training to the #1 transformational leader in the world. We're not allowed to mention his name, but he's a very, very tall man. That's all I can say. No names allowed, though. No names allowed. That's like
tall guy with big hands.
Big hands, very big hands, and a lot of energy. So, but no names allowed. So this fellow is my coach. He's the greatest heart-based enrollment coach on the planet. So to teaching you how to enroll from the heart, his track record of enrollment is dazzling and unbelievable. He can enroll 95 out of 100 people that he has enrollment conversation with. It's insane. Wow. He chooses not to enroll you because there's people that he can enroll, but he feels they wouldn't be a fit for the programs that he's in. So he chooses not to. But if he comes on this call and you tell him, okay, you know what, enroll me in something, and you can tell him something that you normally wouldn't be interested in buying, he's going to get so connected to you. His heart will connect with your heart so much. He's going to get what you want in life at such a deep level. You're going to feel so heard. You're going to feel so understood. Whatever he tells you, you should buy, you're just going to say, okay, you know what? This guy said it. I'm buying it. And that's how good he is. And he's dazzling. And I bow before him because I don't have nearly his skill level, but getting to learn from him is really, really cool. And, he's been a guest on my show 7 times, which is also really cool because people that don't get to work with him in this fashion get to at least learn from him.
I got to ask you a question. Okay. So you've got some regular weekly coaches, and you got 290 coaches inadvertently because you interviewed them. Tell us a success story. Tell us a client of yours that had a problem, and we can say, okay, maybe I've had that problem and we won't know how to solve it. And then you tell me what you did to solve it and what happened.
Not a problem. Okay, so let me tell you about my client, Callum. Callum was a fitness coach. I have an affinity for fitness coaches because I've been one myself. And Callum came to me with a common problem that a lot of fitness coaches have. Not enough clients, not enough money. His average month was $3,000 a month. He was going into debt every month. It wasn't working for him. So he came to us. He came to work with our community. The first thing that we got clear on was that Callum sounded like everybody else. He was in the sea of sameness, as you like to say, Raymond. He wasn't in the oasis of differentiation. So we said, Callum, number one is, what is it about you that makes you different? So we helped him discover what it was about him that made him different. Who is your ideal client? So we helped him discover that. So what he discovered was that he was really good at helping people who had injuries recover from those injuries through strength training. So that's what we helped him get clear on. And he really liked working with dads who were professionals or company owners. So they had that kind of injury dad bod thing happening, about 30, 40 pounds overweight. So Callum became that guy. He started raising his fees from like $30 an hour to up to $250 an hour. He had more clients than he could deal with. He actually opened a gym and had to hire trainers to work under him. And he went from making $3,000 to $5,000 a month to $42,000 a month. So that was a good result for Cal.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm really impressed. I've always been impressed by you. And in reciprocation for having you as a guest and taking your time, I would like you to have the opportunity to mention how my listeners can have you as a coach or listen to your podcast or whatever you would like them to do. Go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you. That's really great. So, if they want to just have a conversation with me to find out if what they're facing is something we can help them with, they can just go to my main website. It's called ecircleacademy.com. There are 2 buttons on that homepage that say book what we call a success call. That's basically a complimentary coaching call. What I ask them to do is just to click on that link, fill in all their information, including some information about their business, so I'm better prepared to serve them on the call. And I'll do a complimentary coaching call with them. And hey, I'd love for them to check out my podcast. Go to the thoughtleaderrevolution.com. If you like what you hear, please continue listening, and definitely listen to the episodes that you and I have together, especially episode number 1. You were our very first guest, and then you came back about 230 episodes in. So they definitely should at least listen to those 2 episodes.
So please do those 2 things if you're interested in Nikki Ballou. And please, if you like this podcast episode, please send it to friends so that they can enjoy it as well. So thank you to my listener and subscriber, and thank you especially to Nikki Ballou. I am honored that I was with you when you were a fitness coach. I'm honored that I'm with you as a business coach. And I wonder in the future how we will be together in your next incarnation.
God bless your heart. And Raymond, if I can tell your listener, in addition to like sharing this with your friends, please go to iTunes and leave Raymond a rating or review. He doesn't charge for the podcast. He does this for free. He doesn't have any sponsors offset the cost. So just in recognition of that, if you have gotten value from the episode, and I'm sure you have, leave him a nice rating, leave him a nice review. That's the kind of thing that helps him grow the podcast and spread the word out more. So please make sure, listener, that you do that for him.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. We continue to help each other. Okay, bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye, Ray.
Bye-bye.
You too.